Let's talk about Season 4 of Aggretsuko and why Haida is absolutely the worst. Hear me out, and then defend him if you must. Hey guys, I'm still McGann, and this is still the Fangirl, where we're still talking about Aggretsuko, Sanrio's super adulty office dramedy. So if you've never seen the show, the bullet point issues are that all the characters tend to be some personified stereotype of an office place personality. You have Kabe, the gossip, Tsunoda, the flirt, Finako, the social media stalker, Tone, the misogynist pig boss, and Haida, the hopeless romantic that can't get the guts to ask out the girl he's into, Retsuko. And you know Retsu's the main character because she's the only one with a 3D personality. Now, I've talked about the show before, and I absolutely can't stand Haida for a lot of reasons. For starters, he's a hyena, I think, which is something that would literally devour a red panda like Retsuko. Then there's just his horrible personality. Oh, I'm so in love with Retsuko, even though I know nothing about her. Maybe I should ask her out. Hee hee. Actually, no, I'd rather just silently pine away and cry while she dates other people, and I make myself feel bad and trap myself in an emotional limbo by not pulling off the band-aid and asking my dream girl out. And I mean, in Season 3, Haida does run in and save Retsuko from getting stabbed with a box cutter, but no one else seems to want to point out the fact that Haida was only able to be a hero because he was already stalking her. Come on, that boy saw Retsuko in the wild and jumped on a plane to silently follow her. And then he showed up at her mother's house and drug her out of her safe zone as she was processing legit fear and grief over being attacked on the street. Yeah, she could have lost her job, but you know what? She's an adult. She could have also gotten another one. Haida is detrimental to Retsuko's mental health and happiness because all he can do is put his own desire to have the fantasy version of Retsu first, above everything else. But then we get to Season 4, where Retsuko is returning to work, and Haida is walking on this tightrope of whether or not he'll ask her out. I mean, Retsuko's even expecting him to do it, but Haida will not make a move because he lacks confidence. And truly, I prefer this Haida to the one creeping on Retsuko from a distance, but it is almost heart-wrenching to watch that boy's anxiety and insecurities tick away at him until he cannot function. Starting in episode 1 of the 4th season, Haida starts off great by helping Retsuko move into her new apartment, but then he refuses to enter that very same apartment minutes later. It's like, oh no, there might be an expectation of me, I better freak out. Haida obviously has some nerves about what crossing the threshold to Retsuko's apartment might mean, but he was literally just in that apartment. Then he uses a flimsy excuse to not enter. So all his anxiety did was make the situation worse and cause Retsuko to get confused from Haida's mixed signals. And let me clarify for the keyboard mafia here. I have anxiety, depression, insecurities, you know, the whole gamut of negative emotions. But at some point, that pain that you feel from not knowing do they like me or do they not like me has to outweigh the worry and dread you feel from making a move. And Haida is so up in his head by the end of that episode that he's becoming more and more of an issue. He can't even wrap his head around the idea of slowing down to match Retsuko's speed. He even has to be pushed to plan a dinner date, but then Haida abandons those plans because he gets so insecure after seeing Tadano on TV, and somehow Retsuko having a friend that she runs into just put Haida out so much that he cancels their dinner plans. So he's punishing Retsuko for running into her friend as if he can't handle any variation to the version of Retsuko that he wants to know. Oh, here's somebody that knows Retsuko in a different way than I do. Oh, I can't handle that. I have to leave. Dude, come on. Plus, he's kind of a jerk while he's helping Retsuko shop. The only thing he does that's gentlemanly is carry the shopping bag. And he even throws that back at her without finishing the task of walking her home. Did he forget he walks her home because someone tried to take a box cutter to her face last season? What is going on, Haida? Then in episode 2, Haida's lies are so obvious that Retsuko gets absolutely fed up with his behavior, and she kind of gives up on him, rightfully so. And Haida's whole logic for acting erratic? Oh, why bother if things will eventually end anyways? I'm just a nobody. Okay, Haida, life is awful, so then emotionally lock yourself away and don't bother connecting with people or wasting their time. If you are not emotionally available, do not enter the arena arena and mess with girls' heads because that becomes damaging for the girl who doesn't understand that you're crazy. Shoot, Himuro takes more charge at flirting with Haida than Haida does with Retsuko, and Haida's been in love with her for 5 years. By episode 4, Retsuko is so over Haida running hot and cold and becoming more standoffish that she tells him, you know what, we're just going to be friends. And hey, props to Retsi for showing women how to have boundaries and protect themselves and their energy. A lot of people are so trained to people please or jump through hoops for love that they let people like Haida destroy them emotionally. Not saying that I'm personally raising a hand here, but not saying that I'm not either. And let's be honest, Haida makes no effort to fight for a relationship. He just says, gotcha, and walks away. Even if he was caught off guard, that is so dismissive. What part of gotcha says, I'm in love with you and want to date you? But then in episode 5, we see some progress. After Retsuko openly admits to liking Haida, he then follows her home and creepily takes a step into her apartment. Then the two go on a date and seem to have a good vibe going, but like so many other people who pursue someone that they have no idea how to handle, by episode 7, once Haida gets some mild praise at work, he starts to lose interest and focus and conviction and then fizzles out as a romantic partner. But instead of acknowledging that and maybe pumping the brakes with Retsuko, Haida decides to get mad that Retsuko isn't waiting around pining for him and that she starts to work on her own projects and hobbies. Haida even gets suspicious that Retsi is cheating on him, all because she ends up going to Tadano to get some business advice. Okay, people can have insecurities and anxiety and all that, but your feelings and issues have no right to start impacting other people, especially not when you don't immediately talk to your significant other about your concerns before you start freaking out. Toxic, toxic, toxic. And I will say there is a moment in the season where Haida is talking to Retsuko like, oh, who have you been hanging out with? And Retsuko dodges the question. But one, Haida was bringing that up as a way to deflect that he was being called out for cooking the books at work. And two, he was going about the question in a very accusatory way. So if I were in Retsuko's position where I was trying to get to the bottom of something and I was in this guy's house alone and he was getting a little bit of a sense of hostility, yeah, I probably wouldn't pick that moment to have that discussion either, because you don't know what they're going to do. And again, Haida is literally a hyena that could eat Retsuko. But here's the overall issue. Yes, Tadano is still very open and flirty with Retsuko. I've never really felt like he got over her. But Retsuko is not the type to let someone else dictate what she wants. So just because Tadano might want her doesn't mean that she wants him. If Retsi is in a relationship with Haida, there is no reason to assume she'd go back to someone who she's already rejected. The only thing that might perpetuate that fear in Haida's mind is the fact that he knows he's prioritizing his work and giving Retsi none of his time or energy. So Haida knows that he's not treating her very well, so she might wander off. So it all really boils down to the issue that Haida should have never gone after Tadano. He should have stepped himself up and treated Retsuko better. Patch the cracks in your relationship so that you don't need to worry that she might develop eyes for someone else. But no. Haida's plan is to remove the competition so that he can put in as little effort as possible while limiting Retsuko's options. Not to mention, Haida goes out to get drinks with Inui and doesn't think twice about it. So it's okay for him to see an ex and it's all nice and platonic, but if Retsuko's doing the same thing, then there must be something nefarious going on? What? And I think the worst Haida moment in this season is when he tries to blame shift his behaviors onto Retsuko. She didn't ask him to take the work promotion, earn more money, or change his personality. The big boss Himuro did. And Haida jumped at that request by using Retsuko's future happiness as his justification, instead of accepting that maybe he himself is just a sketchy dude with questionable morals who goes after any positive attention that he can get. Grow up, little jackal. Take some accountability for yourself. And don't go after a girl if you're not ready to have said girl. While I do appreciate that Haida is far less of a stalker in season 4, that does not wash away his other glaring faults. He is a bad match for Retsuko, probably for anyone. And I'm not thrilled with the way he and Retsuko seem to be a couple by the last episode. But if they are, all I can say to Haida is do better. I might be overthinking it, but that is literally my job. Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, "Hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that?" Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Family and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos, like you, helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye.